Greetings. In this part of the discussion, and in fact in the last video we deviated from this discussion a little bit. We discussed, how we are not responsible for the sin of our father Adam according to God of Israel, but we are responsible according to a stupid man named Paul, who created Christianity, the God of Christianity, who said that God of Israel is a liar. He's lying when he said that we are not responsible. He said, no, we are, and we need Jesus Christ to help us out. All right, let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, verse 11. It says, if two men are fighting and the wife of one of them comes to rescue her husband from his assailant, and she reaches out and sees him by his private parts. Women are miserable in the Jewish Christian book. They are no book ever insults women like the Jewish Christian book does. No book on this earth, on this planet, insult women like this book. No book. We will take this discussion in different videos. This is not the time. We are not discussing women in the Jewish Christian book, not yet. To see how filthy is their state according to the Israeli Jews. Very well, let's read it again. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 11. We have two men fighting. We don't know the reason. It happens. People fight all the time. Now, the wife of the first man comes to help her husband. What does she do? She grabs the other man by the balls, private parts. And you know how much it hurts for any woman to do that. So, now this is the situation. As you said, she's trying to help her husband, but she didn't have to go for the parts. She shouldn't be so rotten, miserably rotten. But today, that's normal in the West. I mean, this is rotten, 3,000 years back, but today it's normal, above normal. No, it is required. No, there is a demand. And if I can continue, it gets worse. Trust me when I say that. We are living in a rotten society today in the US and the West. And the rest of the world is following so fast, walking on our path, following our footsteps, one step at a time. So now God passes a judgment. This woman that grabbed the other man, fighting her husband by the private parts, what is the judgment? Verse 12 says, you shall cut off her hand. Show her no pity. Cut off her hand. Show her no pity. So cut it with, cruelty, with insults, humiliate her, scold her, call her names. No pity. Cut her off her hand. Well, is this just or not just? The situation is so sensitive, I'm not going to go any further than just stating the order of God of Israel. So, in the case of God of Israel, if a woman grabs the private parts of the male in a fight, now in the porn movies, they grab the the private parts. It's a favorite, touch. And this is spread by the Israeli Jews and Hollywood. Now we have a filthy society because of this porn. So all over porn movies, you can find, grabbing, by the private parts. But we are not talking about that. We are talking about a fight between two men, and this woman interferes to defend her husband, and she does that. So God said, cut off her hand. That's a penalty. And cut it off and show no pity. Don't even hesitate for a second. Don't ever think about that. Very well. So this is another good order from the God of Israel. We have seen so many goodies from this God so far, which makes me miss Allah so much, going through those words. Very well. Well, we have a situation in Islam. Allah says, cutting the hand only for stealing from someone. See, grabbing the private part may not kill, may not cause death. It causes so much pain, but doesn't cause death. But stealing sometimes may ruin a whole family. And so many examples I can give you. I'm not going to discuss this right now. Yes, in Islam, you cut the hand of the thief. Then let me see if you will have more thieves in your society ever again. But because no Islam law is applied in the world today, the thieves are prospering so fast and so much. Let's not discuss that. This is beside the point. We're not discussing Islam today. We will come to that. We will discuss Islam. We will show you the difference, the huge difference between the rotten beliefs in the world and Islam, the wonderful Islam, the best on the face of this earth, that they try to portray in a satanic manner, taking everything out of context. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 29. If only they were wise and would understand this and discern what their end will be. Verse 30 says, how could one man chase 1,000 or two put 10,000 to flight unless their rock had sold them, unless the Lord has given them up? What is the situation here? What is this rock thing? In the Jewish Christian book, in the Old Testament, they call the God of Israel sometimes by the master, by the leader of the army. He leads the armies of Israel. And sometimes they call him the rock. Because, according to the Israelis, and the God of Israel, a rock is something solid. It's not easy to break. So he's a rock. He is firm in every order he makes and stands by his orders and commands. He's a rock, solid like a rock. So, we're going to read, one time during the debate, we will come to this rock, and the Israelis say, isn't their God different than our God? There are two gods now, according to Israelis. There are two gods to this world, the God of Israel and the God of the rest of the world. Hello? And they say, isn't our rock different than their rock? Meaning our God different than their God. Remember this rock thing, when we rock and roll somewhere else. Very well. So, according to God of Israel, he says, if only they were wise and would understand this and discern what their end will be, will know what their end will be. How could one man chase 1,000? Yeah, that's not possible, right? One man chasing 1,000? or two men put 10,000 to flight. Take off. They take off so fast they don't, run on earth anymore. They fly from the speed. They fly. Like the airplane starts, on the runway, and then, it picks up speed and then shoots up. The same thing. They run so fast they will fly. Unless their rock had sold them. Their rock. You remember what we were talking about? Their rock, our rock. Isn't our rock different than their rock? So there are two gods here. While we have so many verses in the Old Testament that says, I am God and there is no other. I am the first, I am the last. I am the God, beside me there is no other. Many times. What the hell they are talking about? Our rock, their rock sold them. Unless the Lord had given them up. So this is about the Israelis, and the matter of fact, that one man from their enemies, can make 1,000 of them run. And two men from their enemies can make 10,000 fly, take off like birds. From the speed, off the ground, take off. Amazing. We just reached, what I was saying. For their rock is not like our rock, unless the Lord had given them up. For their rock is not like our rock, as even our enemies concede. Over and over and over, rotten words, repeating the stupid, false information that we have two rocks, God of Israel and the God of the world, the Gentiles. The Israelis, Christians know that they divide the world into two parts, two sects. If you are an Israeli Jew, you're a Jew. If you are not from the Israeli Jews, then you are a Gentile from the rest of the world, from the other nations. And here, repeating over and over and over and insisting on saying that their God of Israel is different from the God of the rest of the world, the Gentiles. Let us read it one more time. Perhaps it will sink with all of us. I am slow to understand sometimes. If only they were wise and would understand this and discern what their end will be. Okay, let's skip that. For their rock is not like our rock. Their God is not like our God. Their rock, our rock. Unless the Lord had given them up. For their rock is not like our rock. Again, as even our enemies concede. Even our enemies know that. All right. So, many verses, endless verses in the book. God himself is speaking and saying, I am God, there is no other. Who is God beside the Lord? I am God, and there was none other before me or after me. I am God, I am alone, God alone. Even, in the book of 4th Corinthians, I believe, it says, there is no God but one God. Don't sacrifice, to the idols. There is one God but one God. Ehad, the one. Very well. So, all those verses are garbage, that says God is one. We just read here, emphasis, their God, our God, their God, our God, our rock, their rock. Assuring that there are more than one God, at least two. The God of the Jews and the Israelis, and the God of the rest of the world, the Gentiles. Our rock, their rock. Somebody love to go to discotheques and nightclubs to rock and roll. Come to this rock. It's better for you. All right, well, we have the right to say some jokes, you know, the situation is so funny. Why not make jokes? Why only their God, you know, make jokes? We are allowed to make jokes as well. Take care. Till next time.